There is a famous saying in the world of finance, often attributed to the legendary investor Charlie Munger. He said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on that first 100,000. But here is the secret that the billionaires don't tell you. The magic doesn't actually start at 100,000. The real shift, the moment the universe of money fundamentally changes its laws of physics, happens exactly at the halfway mark. It happens at $50,000. Reaching a net worth of $50,000 is the financial equivalent of a rocket ship breaking through the Earth's atmosphere. Before 50,000, you are fighting gravity. Every single dollar you save feels heavy. You are fighting against your rent, your car payments, your student loans, and your own psychological desire to spend. The system is designed to keep you at zero. The gravity of the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle is pulling you down with massive force. You save $500 and the car breaks down, costing $500. You are running at full speed just to stay in the same place. But once you cross that $50,000 line, the gravity weakens. You enter low Earth orbit. Suddenly, the money starts to move on its own. The interest starts to generate enough cash to cover a bill. The dividends start to buy you groceries. You stop pushing the boulder up the hill, and the boulder starts to roll just a little bit on its own. However, this is also the most dangerous moment in your financial life. Why? Because the rules of the game flip. The strategies that got you from 0 to 50,000 will actually keep you poor if you try to use them to get from 50,000 to $1 million. If you keep playing by the level 1 rules when you have reached level 2, you will stagnate, or worse, you will slide back down into the gravity well. Most people never make this pivot. They get to 50,000, and they stay there. They treat their money the same way they did when they were broke, and they never unlock the exponential growth that comes next. In this video, we are going to break down the 5 critical money rules that change the instant you hit that $50,000 net worth. We are going to deconstruct the psychology of the middle game and show you how to adjust your strategy to turn that first 50,000 into your first million. You have done the hard work of launching the rocket. Now, you need to learn how to navigate in space. But before we initiate the countdown, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are decoding the invisible rulebook of wealth, and you need to be here for the next chapter. Let's talk about the first major shift. This is a complete reversal of everything you have been taught about safety. Rule number 1. You must switch from hoarding cash to deploying capital. When you have a net worth of 0 or negative net worth, cash is your oxygen. You are told to build an emergency fund. You are told cash is king. And this is correct advice for level 1. When you are broke, you need liquidity because you are fragile. A lost job or a medical bill can destroy you. So, you hoard cash in a savings account. You protect it like a dragon protecting gold. But once you hit $50,000, holding too much cash transforms from a safety net into a liability. At $50,000, you have entered the zone where inflation risk becomes more dangerous than market risk. Let's look at the math. If you have $5,000 in a bank account and inflation is 4%, you are losing $200 of purchasing power a year. It hurts, but it's manageable. It's the cost of insurance. But if you have $50,000 sitting in a standard bank account earning 0.1% interest and real inflation is 4%, you are losing $2,000 of value every single year. That is $166 a month. That is a bill you are paying to the bank for the privilege of letting them hold your money. If you keep that $50,000 in cash for 10 years, you haven't just kept it safe. You have incinerated nearly half of its real value. You have worked hard to earn that money, and now you are letting it rot. The rule change is this. At $50,000 net worth, your emergency fund should be capped. Before $50,000, you save every penny you can find. After $50,000, you calculate exactly 3 to 6 months of expenses, let's say that is $15,000, and you lock that away. Every single dollar above that $15,000 must be deployed. It must become an employee. You have to stop viewing money as something you store and start viewing it as something you employ. If you have $35,000 of lazy equity sitting around, that is a team of workers sleeping on the job. You need to fire them from the savings account and hire them into the stock market, real estate, or a business. This requires a psychological shift from defense to offense. In the beginning, you are playing goalie. You are just trying to stop the ball from going in the net. But you cannot win a game just by playing goalie. At $50,000, you have to put some players on the field to score goals. This is scary. It feels safer to see the number in the bank account. But the safety paradox is that by playing it too safe with cash, you guarantee a slow death by inflation. You have to get comfortable with the idea that your money must be volatile to be profitable. Rule number 2, the shift from hard work to asymmetric risk. From 0 to 50,000, the equation is linear. You trade time for money. You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. To save more, you work more hours or you cut more coupons. It is a grind. It is brute force. And it works. It is the only way to build the initial seed capital. But once you have that seed capital, hard work has diminishing returns. You cannot work 24 hours a day. There is a physical limit to how much you can grind. At $50,000, you need to detach your time from your money. You need to start looking for asymmetric bets. What is an asymmetric bet? It is a scenario where the potential upside is significantly higher than the potential downside. When you have $0, you cannot take risks. If you try to start a business and lose $5,000, you are homeless. The downside is infinite ruin. But when you have $50,000, you have a buffer. You can afford to lose $2,000 on a side hustle experiment. You can afford to invest $5,000 in a high-growth stock portfolio. If that $5,000 goes to zero, it sucks, but you are still alive. You still have $45,000. You are not ruined. But if that $5,000 goes to the moon, if that side hustle takes off, it could double your net worth. The rule change is this. You stop protecting your downside at all costs, and you start optimizing for your upside. Poor people focus on not losing money. Wealthy people focus on the probability of gaining money. At $50,000, you have bought your ticket to the casino of capitalism. You are no longer just a spectator. You can place chips on the table. This means you should start educating yourself on things that were previously too risky. Individual stocks, specialized ETFs, real estate crowdfunding, starting a small digital business. You have the runway to fail. In Silicon Valley, they talk about runway, how many months a startup can survive before it runs out of cash. At $50,000, you have a personal runway. You can take a few months to learn a new high-income skill. You can take a pay cut to join a startup with equity options. The hard work rule says, keep your safe job and work overtime. The net worth rule says, use your safety net to take a calculated career risk that could 10x your income. Rule number 3, the time value flip. This is the hardest one for people to accept because it goes against our moral programming. We are raised to believe that doing things yourself is virtuous. We are told that mowing your own lawn, fixing your own sink, and painting your own house is saving money. And when you are building your first $50,000, that is absolutely true. If you pay someone $50 to mow your lawn, that is $50 you didn't invest. But at $50,000 net worth, the math of your time changes. Let's say you have invested your $50,000 well, and it is compounding at 8 or 10%. Your money is now working. You need to start viewing your time as a resource that is too expensive to spend on low-value tasks. If you spend 4 hours on a Saturday fixing your car to save $200, you have valued your time at $50 an hour. That sounds okay. But what if you used those 4 hours to research a new investment property? What if you used those 4 hours to build a digital product that could sell forever? What if you used those 4 hours to network with someone who could double your salary? At $50,000, you are the CEO of a small holding company called Me Incorporated. A CEO does not clean the office toilets. Not because they are too arrogant, but because it is a misuse of company resources. If the CEO is cleaning toilets, nobody is steering the ship. You need to start firing yourself from the low-level tasks of your life. This starts small. Maybe it's paying for the grocery delivery so you save 2 hours of shopping. Maybe it's paying for the slightly more expensive direct flight so you save 4 hours of layover. You are buying time. And you must then reinvest that time into high-leverage activities. If you pay $50 for grocery delivery and then sit on the couch and watch Netflix, you have wasted money. But if you pay $50 for grocery delivery and use that hour to study for a certification that raises your salary by $10,000, you have made a massive profit. The rule change is, stop asking, how much does this cost? And start asking, what is the return on investment of my time? Before $50,000, you trade time to save money. After $50,000, you trade money to save time. Rule number 4, the social capital audit. There is a concept in sociology called reference group theory. It essentially means that we mimic the behaviors, spending habits, and ambitions of the people we spend the most time with. When you are at 0, your friends are likely at 0. You bond over the struggle. You complain about the boss together. You complain about the rent. You find cheap ways to have fun. This solidarity is important for survival. But when you hit 50,000, you are quietly exiting the struggle. You are moving into the build phase. And this creates friction. If you continue to hang out with people who have a poverty mindset, they will unconsciously drag you back down. They will make fun of you for being cheap when you don't want to buy the round of drinks. They will tell you that investing is gambling. They will say, must be nice when you hit a milestone, with a tone of jealousy rather than support. This is the crab bucket effect. When one crab tries to crawl out of the bucket, the other crabs will pull it back down. At 50,000 net worth, you need to curate your circle. You don't have to dump your old friends, but you need to actively seek out new ones who are at level 3 or level 4. You need to be the poorest person in the room again. When you sit at a table with people who have a net worth of 500,000 or $1 million, the conversation changes. They don't talk about how to save $5 on gas. They talk about tax strategies. They talk about market trends. They talk about business ideas. Just by listening to them, your normal resets. If your normal is living paycheck to paycheck, 50,000 feels like a fortune. You will be tempted to stop and celebrate. If your normal is $1 million, 50,000 feels like you are just getting started. You will feel the urgency to keep going. The rule change is, your net worth is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you want to hit the next level, you have to upgrade the average. Rule number 5, the battle against lifestyle creep. This is the boss battle of the $50,000 level. When you hit $50,000, you don't feel rich, but you definitely stop feeling broke. You breathe a sigh of relief. The anxiety lifts. And that is when the devil whispers in your ear. You have $50,000. You can afford the better apartment. You can afford the new car. You can afford the nice vacation. This is the trap. The $50,000 mark is the exact point where most people destroy their momentum. They use the $50,000 as a down payment on a liability that increases their monthly burn rate. They think, I have $50,000 saved, so I can buy a $50,000 car. No, that is not how it works. If you buy the car, you are back to 0. You have reset the game. You have killed your employees. The $50,000 is not spending money. It is working capital. There is a massive difference. Spending money is for consumption. Working capital is for production. The rule at this level is, fake it till you make it, is for losers. The new rule is make it, but fake being broke. You must maintain your level 1 living standards while you have level 2 money. This creates a gap. Your income is rising because of your investments and your career growth, but your expenses stay flat. This gap is where the magic happens. This is the compounding zone. If you can hold the line, if you can stay in the modest apartment and drive the old car for just 3 or 4 more years after hitting 50,000, your net worth won't just go to 60,000. It will go to 100, then 200. The math of compounding is exponential, not linear. Let's visualize a snowball. When you are rolling a snowball at the top of the hill, you have to pack the snow by hand. It takes forever to get it to the size of a baseball. That is the first 50,000. But once it is the size of a basketball, you can push it. And as it rolls, It picks up more snow in one revolution than you could pack by hand in an hour. If you stop the snowball to shave off some ice for a drink, if you spend the capital, you stop the momentum. You have to start pushing from a dead stop again. At $50,000, the snowball is finally heavy enough to crush obstacles. Don't melt it. Let's recap the psychological progression. Phase 1, $0 to $50,000, is the soldier phase. You follow orders. You are disciplined. You sacrifice. You fight for every inch of ground. Phase 2, $50,000 to $250,000, is the general phase. You stop fighting on the front lines. You step back. You look at the map. You direct your troops to the most strategic positions. You are no longer working for money. You are building a system where money works for you. The tragedy is that most people are excellent soldiers, but terrible generals. They know how to save, but they don't know how to strategize. They win the battle of the first 50,000, but they lose the war because they never change their tactics. They keep the money in the bank, they keep doing low-value work, they keep the same social circle, and eventually, they succumb to the temptation to spend it. Do not be most people. When you see that number hit $50,000 on your screen, do not pop the champagne. Do not book the cruise. Instead, look at it with cold, calculated intensity. Say to yourself, this is my army. Now, where do we attack? The first 50,000 is about proving you can control yourself. The next 50,000 is about proving you can control the world around you. The math is on your side now. The wind is at your back. The gravity is weaker. But the stakes are higher. Because falling from the ground hurts, but falling from space is fatal. You have built the foundation. Now build the skyscraper. Now, let's go a little deeper into the specific mathematics of why this 50,000 number is so crucial, because I want you to really feel the weight of this milestone. There is a concept called the Rule of 72. It is a mental shortcut to calculate how long it takes for your money to double. You take the number 72 and divide it by your annual return rate. If you have $0, the doubling time is irrelevant. 0 times 2 is still 0. If you have $5,000 invested at 10%, it will take 7 years to turn into $10,000. That is a $5,000 gain in 7 years. It's nice, but it won't change your life. You can't live on that. But watch what happens at 50,000. If you have $50,000 invested at 10%, in 7 years, it becomes 100,000. That is a $50,000 gain. Your money just earned as much as you did in the first phase, but it did it without you lifting a finger. Fast forward another 7 years. That 100,000 becomes 200,000. Another 7 years. 400,000. This is the hockey stick curve. The reason 50,000 is the magic number is because it is the elbow of the curve. It is the point where the line stops going flat and starts going vertical. If you interrupt the curve at the elbow, you destroy the future vertical climb. Think of a plane taking off. It uses 50% of its fuel just to get off the ground. That is your first 50,000. The engines are screaming. The vibration is intense. It is loud. It is scary. But once it reaches cruising altitude, the pilot throttles back. The plane flies faster, but uses less fuel. The ride is smooth. You are the pilot. The first 50,000 is the takeoff. It is supposed to be hard. It is supposed to be loud. But if you cut the engines right after takeoff because you want to relax, the plane crashes. You have to climb to cruising altitude. For most people in the modern economy, cruising altitude is somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. That is the point where your investment returns can realistically replace a median salary. So, at 50,000, you are airborne. But you are not safe. You are just high enough to get hurt if you fall, but not high enough to glide. This is why rule number 5, fighting lifestyle creep, is the most critical. When you get a raise at work, the world tells you to upgrade. Get the bigger house. You can afford the monthly payment. The bank will pre-approve you for a mortgage that takes up 45% of your income. They will smile and hand you the pen. Why? Because they know that if you sign that paper, you are back in the gravity well. You are trapped. You have to keep working that job for 30 years to pay them back. They are terrified of the person with $50,000 and low expenses. Because that person is free. That person can quit. That person can negotiate. Your financial freedom is offensive to the system. The system wants you to be a high-income, low-net-worth consumer. It wants you to earn $100,000 and spend $105,000. When you hit $50,000 net worth and you don't upgrade your lifestyle, you are hacking the matrix. You are becoming a glitch in the system. So, wear your old clothes with pride. Drive your old car with a secret smile. Because you know something they don't. You know that you are building a machine that will eventually buy you your freedom, while they are just buying shiny handcuffs. Stay focused. The fog is clearing. You can see the mountain top from here. If this video helped you understand the shift that needs to happen in your mind, then you are ready for what comes next. We are going to be diving deep into specific investment strategies for that general phase in our upcoming videos. You do not want to miss that. So hit subscribe, turn on the notifications, and join us in the owner class. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you in the soldier phase or the general phase? What is the hardest rule for you to break? Is it the spending? Or is it the fear of investing? Let me know down below. Keep building. The first 50 is the hardest. The next 50 is inevitable. Thanks for watching.